My friends, we live in a universe of unspeakable abundance, where all possibilities for richness and fulfillment exist as infinite potentials awaiting our conscious invitation into tangible embodiment. Yet so many of us struggle ceaselessly, chasing desires like perpetually elusive phantoms, while remaining oblivious to our intrinsic power as infinite creators shaping reality itself through our subconscious imaginings. The greatest truth each of us must awaken into is the recognition that we originate not from this physical world of fleeting forms and appearances, but from a deeper continuum plane of pure consciousness, a boundless metaphysical dream space where our thoughts and feelings take on a quickening spiritual vivification that births new realities into being. The material realm you and I experience through our senses is but the residue, the ephemeral frosting atop the surface of infinitely vaster subconscious dream streams that flow directly from the inexhaustible wellsprings of the universal imagination itself. All tangible manifestations we behold or experience in the exterior world are simply crystallized thought forms generated by the boundless ideational activities churning within each of us. You are far more prodigious in your capacities for authentic creation than you presently realize, my friends. For you are fractal replicants of the originating universal consciousness, immortal subjectivities endowed with infinite resourcefulness for generating any condition or desired experience into material embodiment. What you call the pursuit of goals, the attainment of dreams or objectives, is but an indirect quest spurred by a soul deep intimation that you possess the intrinsic power to command the reshaping of your reality in accordance with your innermost yearnings and aspirations. Each longing, each desire that arises within you is itself a divine prompting from your own eternal essence, seeking fulfillment as a portal into higher revelation. The tragedy is that most people in this world languish beneath the mass hypnosis of materialistic limitations, subscribing to the belief that our ambitions and aspirations must be arduously pursued in the external world through struggle, perspiration, and conquest of opposing forces and finite resources. But this is a fallacy deeply entrenched in egoic consciousness, one that severs your awareness from the infinite wellsprings of your divine creatorship potential. From the deeper altitude of your subconscious identity, you are truly liberated masters of reality, rather than victims bound to circumstances. Your thoughts, beliefs, and visionary impressions all flow directly from the same gestive cosmic fonts from which the entire theater of the universe perpetually springs into experiential embodiment. At the core of your being is the infinite creative principle, the limitless universal imagination, constantly dreaming into particularized materialization, whatever your consciousness has subconsciously impregnated it with through your thoughts and passions. Through your individual awakening into this supernal continuum awareness, you cease being a powerless spectator, ceaselessly reacting to outside effects. But rather you become the lucid dreamer birthing all circumstances and earthly phenomena into experiential revelation. Consider the stunning implications of what I'm conveying, that you yourself are the central emanating presence perpetually dreaming into existence the entire three-dimensional holodramatic theater you call the world. This physical realm you experience through your sensory lens is itself but frozen photographic snapshots of the infinite subconscious dreaming process eternally streaming through your imagination's limitless interiors. This human incarnation you presently inhabit, with its seemingly finite sensations, emotions, and physical promptings, is like a temporary daydream congealed into an apparently persistent state through repetition of the same thoughts, impressions, and conditioned stimuli. But merely by redirecting the currents of your subconscious imaginal activities, you awaken into new dream zones of enhanced vitality, abundance, and revelation. The physical plane you have been taught is the only ultimate reality, is but a shadow play of frozen sculptured consciousness, a mere residue of the infinitely more quickened and subtle ethers of subconscious ideation within you. Cast your soul's gaze even deeper through the gossamer veils of this temporary existence, and you awaken into direct contact with the unspeakable splendors of the infinite dreamscapes you originate from. You become lucid witnesses to the ever-recreating continuum of subconscious realities that streams ceaselessly from your inexhaustible wellsprings. All force movement events, even inert objects comprising your exterior world, are symbolic materializations, metaphysical objectifications precipitated into seemingly concrete density by the processes of condensed subconscious ideation flowing forth from the unobstructed continuum of your being. There is no fixed world or static universe external to the boundless imaginal dream states you emerge from. Your state of consciousness alone births all dimensions and circumstances you experience. From this profound metaphysical recognition arises a life-changing revelation. For if you accept the premise that you are integrally unified with the infinite dreaming mind of all creation, and that your consciousness ceaselessly distills ideational patterns into periodic actualization as your physical world experience, then you awaken into awareness that you yourself are the solitary fulcrum through which all events and conditions arise and fall away. Your desires, ambitions, goals are not existent. Your endpoints you must arduously struggle toward across a linear path filled with obstacles and limitations. But rather, they are celestial prompts arising from your own infinite depths, angelic invitations from within beckoning you to surrender your conditioned mind's limitations so that you can partake of infinitely greater revelations of being through your intentionalized dreaming of them into embodiment. Futile is the game of ambitiously striving, efforting, and bloodying your spirit against the apparent constraints and daunting adversity of the external world's seeming obstructions. For all conditions you witness or experience are passing flickers of mirrored consciousness, little more than ephemeral thought forms that shift and dissipate once your dreaming mind redirects its vision //specfos.io/edit. Doc 5 of 47 EC4D3-4DC9-9- to attentional into new creative directions. So too is it foolhardy to fixedly pursue ambitions through anxious striving as if they were limited objectives to wrestle against the world's apparent forces to achieve. For any craving, longing, or ambition is simply the leading edge of your own infinite potentiality beckoning to be birthed into fuller manifestation. Each desire is a divine invitation into vaster revelation of self. Those who vainly attempt to impose their will against external circumstances and battle dualities unconsciously sabotage their own infinite powers by remaining ignorant of their identities as originators of the dream continuum in which every condition first springs. They become lost in the illusions of materiality, hypnotized by frosted impressions of consciousness, rather than wielding their unconditioned awareness to create a new, each eternal instant. The enlightened ones, those liberated souls who have awakened into direct knowing of their subconscious dream-weaving abilities, follow a path of sublime detachment and effortless manifestation. They never strain, pursue, nor anxiously grasp at desired outcomes. Instead, they calmly, sovereignly nurture their realized intent impressions through tranquil meditation, enveloping them in the unconditional love frequency until the full-blown conditions blossom into substantiation through the divine laws of synchronized fulfillment. While the masses remain forever lost in materialistic preoccupations, tirelessly exerting their egoic will force to manipulate and wrestle with circumstances and hollow appearances, the awakened ones dwell lapped in the sublime continuum wellsprings of infinite potentials. They know through stillness and meditative self-surrender into the source awareness that births all worlds, all possibilities spontaneously unfurling perfect synchronistic timing before them. Those grasping at goals and ambitions from a limited ego consciousness inevitably thwart their attainment through their very grasping, for that desperate energy of clutching onto what you desire only pushes it further away. However, through perfect relaxation into the awareness that you are already the infinite subconscious sea in which all desires already exist as effortless potentials, your dreams and intentions actualize into manifestation before your very eyes, almost as if by magic. Ambition born from egoic willpower and anxiety is what obstructs then, rather than facilitates the natural fulfillment of your heartfelt yearnings. For it is a constricted, contracted state of being that severs your awareness from the infinite flow of continuum potentials which you are intended to merge with through surrender, not effortful imposition. Only by entering the hallowed meditative stillness at your core, ceasing all anxious striving to cause manifestation through muscular egoic exertion, can you unite your conscious intentions with the subconscious dream waves that perpetually birth all desires into embodiment as your objective reality experience. My beloved friends, we are born into this earthly incarnation as luminous fractals of the universal dreaming mind itself, imperial vortices of continuum ideation spiraling forth into every human experience. Our role in this cosmic dreamscape is simply to channel the eternally regenerative streams of possibility unfolding from our interior founts into personal revelation and expanded fulfillment through the lens of our individuated focus. Just as an eternal day of infinitude dawns within you, an endless night of subconscious regeneration simultaneously takes place, an oceanic reserve of pure potential, from which all manifestations you attract into material experience first precipitates. It is from this inexhaustible divine reserve, this universal subconscious matrix, that all your intentions and realized ambitions crystallize into objectification. Your greatest power as a sovereign creatrix birthing the world into being through your consciousness does not flow from anxious striving and impassioned efforting to impose your will upon the universe. True mastery arises through complete surrender into the silent stillness at your core, then calmly allowing your heart's whispers, intentions and passions to be subconsciously realized as new experiential circumstances naturally unfold. You are not a separate ego entity pitted against the external world, trapped in perpetual pursuit of unfulfilled desires that lie outside your reach. You are the infinite universal creator itself, with full access to boundless continuum fields of possibility and infinite resourcefulness for expressing unimagined fulfillments into materialization at each passing instant. Yet this infinite potential languishes in misapprehension, for most remain oblivious to their true identities, as limitless consciousness source pools perpetually generating new reality, embodiments through their imagination alone. They believe the outer world of effects is more real and decisive than the subconscious causal dream streams originating from within their divine awareness. To awaken to your full creative mastership means accepting that your individuated self is but one localized vortex, a fractalized continuum aperture through which the infinite universal potencies of pure source consciousness birth the world into your individuated sensory experience. You emanate outward as a celestial fountaining of universal dreaming substance, continually crystallizing into new forms and visions of manifestation. From this sublime metaphysical recognition of your integral identity with the universal consciousness, responsible for birthing all dimensional spheres into embodied display, you become a limitlessly empowered conscious co-creator, rather than a mere petitioner endlessly struggling after externalized goals. For you now recognize that all objectives, ambitions, and phenomenal materializations are simply particularized expressions of infinite potential dreaming into actualization through your sovereign attentional principle. You cease effortful striving by realizing that your consciousness alone is responsible for distilling infinite subconscious ideational potential into periodically experienced conditions of manifestation. While the unawakened soul fixates dualistically upon external pursuits and outcomes, expending effort and willpower in linear struggles toward ambition fulfillment, the illumined sage achieves desires through perfectly surrendering back into the blissful continuum stillness within. In the state of meditative silence, all intentions and passions become effortlessly realized through the universal laws of synchronized embodiment. For as the infinite universal consciousness, your innate dreaming nature already contains all possible manifestations as subconscious potentials, awaiting tranquil invitation into experiential transcription through your consciousness's loving, attentional embrace. In this sublime metaphysical vista, success, abundance, the manifestation of heartfelt ambitions is not a battle to be won by wrestling outside forces into compliance, but rather a sacred communion in which the dreaming mind achieves a hallowed resonance with the universal intelligence pervading all creation, and through perfect attunement, allow possibilities to spontaneously unfurl into realized embodiment. Upon awakening to the infinite continuum dreamscapes you truly originate from as pure universal consciousness, any ambition or longing you cultivate blossoms into fulfillment by the mere whisper of your subconscious ideational intentionality. Without the need for excessive efforting, struggle, or anxious fixation upon material outcomes. Your energy is instead devoted to achieving resonance, attunement, with the source presence of limitless potentials that birth all materialized experiences into sensory revelation. Through quietude, stillness, and surrender of willful egoic attachments to outcomes, you magnetize your intentions into spontaneous actualization as divinely synchronized creative flowering sharing from infinite continuum womb fertilites into subconscious gestation and eventual through your consciousness's attentional lens. Just as the lotus blossom awakens into beauty through aligning with the energizing potencies of sun and soil without anxiety or personal effort, so too do your sacred intentions and soul's passions manifest into creation when you attune your consciousness into synchronistic resonance with the universal subconscious dream streams that perpetually birth all worlds into experience. All your ambitions are already present as probabilities in embryonic form gestating within you, awaiting synchronistic resonance for actualization. It is merely your anxiety, desperate striving, and grasping attachment to outcomes that obstructs the spontaneous natural harvest of your intended manifestations through your consciousness. Any longing, vision, or divinely inspired possibility you wish to embody already exists in holographic coded form as quintillated continuum potentials within the infinite matrix of your subconscious dream body as individuated expressions of universal source awareness. To fulfill your heart's yearnings, you need merely surrender your current fixations on materialized conditions, quiet the distractive ego mind, to allow your heart mind to align in perfect resonance with the continuum dream stream surging through you as universal consciousness source pools of creation. Then simply gestate peacefully in effortless being, knowing all manifestations have already been coded for spontaneous unfurlment through your receptive consciousness. True mastery and attainment of ambitions, both personal and world, redemptive in scale, arises through this divine allowing, this serenity surrender into your essence identity as the infinite universal dream source itself. For in this sublime creative continuum state, all possibilities naturally emerge into embodiment by synchronicity flowing through you, as their birthing aperture, rather than being effortfully imposed. You are never the source of true creative potential, nor the instigator of manifestation through anxious personal effort. You are simply the blissfully relaxed ceremonial instrument, the consecrated dreaming chalice through which the infinite universal ideation ever surges to precipitate into individuated revelation throughout your awakening experiential field. Detach surrender into the eternal silence of meditative repose, with a heart-mind attuned resonant love with the infinite universal dream flow that births all experiential realms into embodied revelation. This is the path of effortless manifestation for all heartfelt ambitions, grand visions, and soul enrichments you could fathom desiring to experience. Too long have you bought into the illusion of being a powerless, limited, needy ego husk adrift in inhospitable materialistic circumstances forever beyond your capacity to reshape. Far too many lifetimes of spiritual essence have been squandered pursuing ambition and fulfillment through desperate grasping, sweat-drenched struggle, and ceaseless efforting to coerce reality into manifesting your yearnings. All of this egoic striving has been delusionary desperation born of your forgetting your infinite powers of sacred source enlightenance as radiant spark fountains of the self-originating universal dream flow in which all potential enrichments, fulfillments, and visionary destinies are ceaselessly birthing in embryonic arrays awaiting your magnetic resonance for spontaneous actualization. Once you remember yourself as the dreaming self-source continuum of universal consciousness, manifesting all possible experiential revelation through your blissful instrument of awareness, anxiety, desperate need, and all experiences of lack or struggle for fulfillment dissolve into receding dream scripts experienced through the lens of an outgrown perceptual child mindset. For you have awakened into resonance as the oceanic wellspring of pure creative potential, in which all conceivable manifestations are already gestating in prismatic embryonic fractal folds, awaiting your lucid receptivity for blossoming into tangible embodiment. In this liberated cosmic visioning, you transcend the anxious ego's poverty mindset and unbecoming neediness into sovereign self-existence, essence identity. Pure awareness source flow-ins, from which all material realms stream forth into sensory experience. You are not an anxious quester compelled toward ambition through suffering and desperately wrestling reality's forces to deliver you fulfillment, as though it were a scarce commodity. Rather, you are the radiant universal continuum from which all experiential abundance self-sources, and into which all manifestations return for recirculation and emanation refresh as perpetual dream flow regenerativity, reflecting throughout the cosmic holographic mirror stream in new form patternings of enriched unfoldment. Inhabit this rarity awareness of being the originating eternal wellstream, birthing all manifestations forms into revealed presencing through your unique instrument of subconscious dreaming and all ambitions, visions. Abundance enrichments will blossom forth spontaneously into realized experiential embodiment as divinely synchronized reward for your lucid stewardship. As a consciously detached hollow tuning fork for the universal dream flow's endless self-regenerating articulation. You are the infinitely resourceful continuum sea of creative potential itself, choosing which of its inexhaustiblest waves of possibility become transiently formed into ephemeral experiential revelation through the magnetic resonant attunement of your blissful awareness, converging with specific universal dream fractals to manifest as sensory delight for your conscious witnessing. Can you feel the sweet release of anxious striving dissolving from your energy field as you inhabit this illumined cosmic continuum awareness of absolute abundance and divine synchronicity as your true originating essence identity? All your ambitions, heartfelt longing, and grandest visionary dreams for richness and fulfillment are already gestating in quintillated embryonic seed codes throughout the hyper-reverential holographic matrices of your subconscious continuum being as infinite, unbounded source consciousness, merely awaiting your calibration of resonant magnetic attunement for spontaneous actualizing into experiential form. The simple act of quieting your desperate ego's sense of lack-based neediness, dropping all its anxious grasp at forcing manifestation through willful self-efforting struggle, and surrendering into your true essence as the infinite continuum universal potential dream, is all that's required for all abundance enrichments to spontaneously crystallize into embodied experiencing of fulfillment. My beloved infinite companions, you were never intended to wrest fulfillment from an external universe, but to awaken to the realization that you yourselves are the infinite universal consciousness dreaming all worlds into experiential revelation through emanation as radiant individuated presence fields of luminously awakening awareness. So step back into the exquisite silence eternal within your divine essence, as the continuum dream flow birthing all materialized reality streams into sensory translation through your magnetic attunement as the co-creative instrument of source light, convergence. And simply allow your heartfelt ambitions, visions of grandeur, all possibilities of abundance enrichment to spontaneously crystallize into substantiation through the mirror awakening embodied experience without struggle or anxious striving. All is made divinely perfect and revelatory manifest through the grace of your being as the infinite self-source of synchronized universal continuum potential, in effortlessly harmonizing your attentional focus into resonant love with whichever creative dream flow fractals your divine heart elects to manifest into sensory delight as emotive revelation embodied through a newly awakened appreciation of your limitless powers of manifestation as the universal consciousness dreaming all experiential worlds into tangible being. The Bible, which I have always maintained, is not a historical document, but a psychological drama, tells us in Proverbs, keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. What is this heart that we must guard so carefully? It is not the physical organ pumping blood through your veins, but the center of your being, your consciousness, your awareness, your I am. When you focus on yourself, you are turning to the only creative power in your world. You are acknowledging that what you are conscious of being, you will express in your outer world. This is the fundamental law of manifestation that has been taught in veiled language throughout all sacred texts. Do you not know that the kingdom of heaven is within you? That you need not look to external circumstances, to other people, or to future events for your good. All that you seek is already present within your consciousness, awaiting your recognition and acceptance. The world may tell you to focus outwardly, to study the actions of others, to compete, to strive, to force changes in your environment. But I tell you that such effort is unnecessary when you understand the law of consciousness. For when you change your inner state, your outer world must conform to that change. It has no choice, for it is only the shadow of your inner reality. And what of this silence that I urge you to maintain? It is not merely the absence of speech, though that is indeed part of it. The silence I speak of is a profound inner quietude, a refusal to contradict in thought, word, or deed the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. In the book of Exodus, we find these words, "The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace." This is the true meaning of staying silent. It is allowing the law, your own wonderful human imagination, to do its perfect work without interference from your doubting, reasoning mind. How many times have you planted a seed of desire in your consciousness only to dig it up repeatedly with your doubts and fears? How often have you declared that a thing is so, only to contradict it moments later with anxious thoughts? This is the very opposite of maintaining silence. The silence I advocate is a complete mental acceptance that what you have imagined is now reality in the spiritual realm, and therefore must inevitably materialize in your experience. It is a calm knowing, a peaceful certainty that needs no outer confirmation. Let me share with you a simple technique that has helped countless individuals to focus on themselves and maintain this creative silence. When you retire at night, lie flat on your back with your head upon a pillow. Close your eyes and completely relax your body. Now bring your attention to your breathing, not to control it, but simply to observe its natural rhythm. As your body relaxes and your mind begins to quiet, turn your attention inward. Become aware of yourself as pure consciousness, as the observer, not the things observed. Feel the reality of your own existence apart from all conditions and circumstances. Now, from this state of self-awareness, begin to imagine a scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. See it clearly, feel it to be real, and allow yourself to become emotionally involved in this imaginal act. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of having already attained what you seek. This is focusing on yourself, on your own creative consciousness. And as you fall asleep in this state, you are maintaining the silence that allows the seed to take root in the soil of your subconscious mind. Do not wake in the morning and immediately begin to question whether your imaginal act was effective. Do not look to your external world for immediate signs of change. Instead, maintain your silence. Go about your day from the calm center of knowing that what you have imagined must come to pass, for that is the law. The Bible tells us, "Be still and know that I am God." This stillness, this silence is not inactivity. It is the most powerful form of action possible, for it aligns you with the creative forces of the universe itself. Consider the words of the psalmist, I said, "I will take heed to my ways, that I sin not with my tongue. I will keep my mouth with a bridle, while the wicked is before me. I was dumb with silence, I held my peace even from good, and my sorrow was stirred." This passage beautifully illustrates the challenge and the power of maintaining silence. Even when confronted with conditions that seem to deny our desires, while the wicked is before me, we must hold our peace. We must refuse to give voice to doubt, fear, or contradiction. Let me tell you of a lady who came to me in distress. Her husband had left her for another woman, and she was consumed with jealousy, anger, and a desperate need to take action to reclaim him. She asked what she should do. Should she confront the other woman? Should she beg her husband to return? Should she seek legal counsel? I told her to do nothing outwardly. Instead, I instructed her to focus on herself, on her own consciousness, and to create there the state of being happily married. Each night she was to fall asleep feeling the presence of her husband beside her. hearing his voice experiencing the comfort and security of their restored relationship. And above all, I urged her to maintain silence, not to speak to others of her problems, not to confront her husband or her mistress, not even to affirm verbally what she was creating in imagination, simply to know within herself that the marriage was restored in her consciousness and therefore must manifest in her experience. Within 1 month, her husband returned, the relationship with the other woman having dissolved of its own accord. No outer action was necessary. By focusing on herself, on her own creative consciousness, and by maintaining silence, she had allowed the law to operate without interference. This principle applies to every area of life. Are you seeking financial abundance? Do not focus on the outer conditions that seem to limit you. Do not speak constantly of lack or engage in anxious discussions about the economy. Instead, focus on yourself, on your consciousness, and establish there the feeling of wealth and security. Live from that state in your imagination and maintain silence as the outer world rearranges itself to match your inner assumption. Do you desire health? Then do not dwell upon the condition of your body or engage in endless conversations about symptoms and treatments. Focus instead on the feeling of being perfectly well. Establish that state within your consciousness and maintain silence as the creative law works through you to manifest physical harmony. I tell you that all things are possible to him who believes. And true belief is not merely an intellectual acceptance, but a state of consciousness, a feeling of the wish fulfilled. When you focus on yourself, on your I, and identify it with your desire, you have set in motion the law that must bring your desire to fruition. Some may misunderstand this teaching and consider it selfish or impractical. They may say, but Neville, we must take action in the world. We cannot simply sit and imagine. To them I would reply that I am not advocating inaction, but rather the most appropriate and effective action of consciousness. All outer actions, when they are not inspired by a changed consciousness, are merely futile attempts to bring about change through effort and will. But when action flows naturally from a transformed inner state, it is effortless and perfectly suited to the manifestation of your desire. I recall a gentleman who attended one of my lectures in New York. He approached me afterward and said, I understand what you're teaching, but I've been imagining financial success for months with no results. What am I doing wrong? Upon questioning him, I discovered that while he was indeed in imaginative scenes of wealth each night, during his days he was constantly speaking of his financial problems, checking his bank balance anxiously, and focusing on the gap between his desire and his current reality. I said to him, you are planting a seed with your imaginal act, but then you are daily digging it up to see if it has grown. You must maintain silence. You must stop contradicting your assumption of wealth with your words and actions. He took this advice to heart. He continued his nightly practice of imagining wealth, but he also began to focus on himself, on controlling his inner conversations and maintaining an attitude consistent with his desire. He ceased speaking of financial problems and even stopped checking his bank balance compulsively. Within 6 weeks, he received an unexpected business opportunity that eventually led to the financial abundance he had been seeking. The outer action accepting and developing the opportunity came naturally and effortlessly because it was inspired by his changed consciousness. The Bible states, in returning and rest shall ye be saved, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. This is the true meaning of focusing on yourself and staying silent. It is returning to the center of your being, resting in the assumption that your desire is fulfilled, maintaining the quietness that allows the seed to grow undisturbed, and having complete confidence in the law of your own consciousness. Let us now explore another dimension of this practice. When you focus on yourself, you withdraw attention from the limitations of the outer world. You cease to be mesmerized by appearances, which are only shadows of past thoughts and beliefs. This withdrawal of attention is essential for the transformation of consciousness. As long as you are fixated on external conditions, accepting them as the ultimate reality, you cannot truly change those conditions, for what you focus on persists in your experience. By focusing instead on yourself, on the reality of your consciousness, you reclaim your creative power. The great spiritual directive, go within, is not merely a suggestion. It is the only way to fundamentally change your life. For all external circumstances are but reflections of internal states. Change the internal, and the external must change accordingly. This is why Jesus taught, judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. Righteous judgment is to see not with the outer eye of the senses, which reports only the effects of past causes, but with the inner eye of imagination, which sees what is desired as already accomplished. When you focus on yourself, you are focusing on the cause rather than the effect, on the source rather than the shadow. This is the essence of true spiritual practice. And what of the silence that must accompany this focus? It serves multiple purposes in the manifestation of your desires. First, silence prevents the dissipation of creative energy. When you speak prematurely of your desires or your imaginal acts, you often release the tension necessary for manifestation. It is like deflating a balloon before it has lifted you to your destination. I have observed that those who speak least of their ambitions are often those who accomplish them most impressively. They have intuitively grasped the power of silence, of holding their visions sacred and protected from the doubts and criticisms of others. Second, silence allows the subconscious mind to work unhindered. When you maintain outer silence about your desires and inner silence through the quieting of contrary thoughts, you create the ideal conditions for the manifestation of your imaginal acts. The subconscious accepts what the conscious mind impresses upon it, but this impression must be clear and consistent. By maintaining silence, refusing to contradict your assumption with either words or thoughts, you ensure that the impression remains undisturbed until it manifests in your outer world. Third, silence is an expression of absolute faith in the law. When you know that a thing is done in consciousness, you feel no need to speak of it anxiously or to seek constant reassurance. Your silence is a testament to your confidence that what you have assumed in imagination must objectify itself in your experience. This is the meaning of the biblical instruction, but thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. The closet is your consciousness. The door that must be shut is the silence you maintain against all contradictory thoughts and words. And the Father who sees in secret is the law of your own being, which unfailingly brings forth the harvest of your mental sowing. Let me share with you another example from my own experience. Many years ago, I desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family, but I had no apparent means to make the journey. Rather than focusing on this limitation, I turned within, I focused on myself, on my consciousness, and I imagined stepping off the ship onto the soil of Barbados, being greeted by my family, feeling the warm tropical air on my skin. I performed this imaginal act night after night, and I maintained silence about it. I did not speak to others of my desire to travel when I had no visible means to do so. I did not allow myself to engage in anxious thoughts about how this journey would be accomplished. Within a matter of weeks, a series of seemingly unrelated events culminated in my receiving both the funds and the opportunity to make the journey exactly as I had imagined it. The outer action, booking the passage, boarding the ship, came naturally and effortlessly as a result of my inner action of consciousness. This is the pattern of manifestation that I have observed countless times, both in my own life and in the lives of those who have applied this teaching faithfully. The inner creates the outer. The focus on self, on consciousness, precedes and determines the conditions of objective experience. Now let us consider what typically prevents people from successfully focusing on themselves and maintaining silence. The primary obstacle is the tendency to be constantly drawn outward by the evidence of the senses. From childhood, we are taught to believe that what we can see, hear, and touch is more real than what we imagine. We are conditioned to accept the testimony of the outer world as the ultimate truth. And so when we attempt to focus on ourselves, on our consciousness, we are repeatedly pulled back to external reality by the sheer force of habit. This habit can be broken, but it requires determination and practice. It requires a willingness to question the evidence of the senses and to affirm the primacy of consciousness. It requires faith in the unseen reality of your own wonderful human imagination. The silence that I advocate is equally challenging for most people. In a world that values expression, communication, and constant sharing of thoughts and feelings, the discipline of silence can seem strange or even threatening. Many feel that by not speaking of their problems, they are somehow denying them or refusing to deal with them responsibly. Others fear that by not continually affirming their desires verbally, they might forget them or lose momentum toward their fulfillment. But I tell you that true silence, the silence that follows complete inner acceptance of your desire as fulfilled, is not denial or forgetfulness. It is the most powerful affirmation possible, for it stems from the confidence that what is done in consciousness is done indeed, and needs no further effort or assertion. This silence is not the gritting of teeth against adversity or the repression of genuine feelings. It is the natural quiet that descends when you know that your desire is already yours and the only reality that ultimately matters, the reality of consciousness. Consider the words attributed to Jesus. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. This is a perfect expression of the principle I am teaching you tonight. To focus on yourself is to enter the state of prayer, not as supplication, but as assumption. And to stay silent is to maintain the belief that you have already received, regardless of appearances to the contrary. Now let me address a common misconception. Some may think that by focusing on yourself and staying silent, you are somehow withdrawing from life or avoiding responsibility. Nothing could be further from the truth. When you focus on yourself in the way I am describing, you are engaging with life at its causal level. You are taking full responsibility for your experience by acknowledging and exercising your role as the creator of your reality. And the silence I advocate is not an aloof detachment from the world, but rather a reverent recognition that the world is responding to your consciousness, not the other way around. It is the silence of mastery, not the silence of defeat or resignation. Let me offer you a practical discipline to develop your ability to focus on yourself and maintain silence. Each day, set aside a period of time. It need not be long. Even 15 minutes will suffice, during which you deliberately withdraw attention from the outer world and focus entirely on your consciousness. During this time, ignore the evidence of the senses. Release all concern with problems, conditions, or circumstances. Be fully present with your I am, your awareness of being. Feel the reality of your existence independent of all external factors. From this state of self-awareness, select a desire, something you wish to be, to do, or to have. Now, with the full focus of your attention, imagine this desire is already fulfilled. See it, feel it, accept it as done. As you emerge from this period of focused imagination, maintain silence about your practice. Do not speak of it to others. And do not allow your inner conversation to contradict what you have established in consciousness. If doubts arise, and they will, for all habits of thought are persistent, do not fight them directly. Instead, gently return your focus to the feeling of your desire fulfilled. Remember that what you focus on expands. So by focusing on the doubt, you only strengthen it. Focus instead on the assumed reality of your wish fulfilled. Practice this discipline daily, and you will gradually develop the capacity to focus on yourself, on your consciousness, rather than on external conditions. You will also strengthen your ability to maintain silence, to hold your vision sacred and protected until it manifests in your experience. This practice is the essence of what I have been teaching for many years, though I have expressed it in various ways and through different metaphors and examples. It is the art of changing your life by changing your consciousness. And it is based on the absolute law that consciousness is the only reality. The Bible, which I have always interpreted as a psychological rather than historical document, is filled with references to this practice. When properly understood, it is a manual for the mastery of consciousness and the manifestation of desire. For instance, consider the story of the Exodus. Egypt represents the bondage of belief in external conditions, while the promised land represents the freedom of knowing that consciousness is the only reality. The journey from one to the other is the process of shifting focus from the outer to the inner, from the effect to the cause. The 40 years in the wilderness represents the period of transition during which old beliefs die and new awareness is established. The various trials and tests along the way represent the challenges of maintaining focus on the inner reality when outer appearance is contradicted. And the command to be silent in various situations throughout the journey represents the necessity of not contradicting with our words or thoughts the assumption of already being in the promised land. This is your journey as well. You may currently be in Egypt bound by belief in the limitations of external reality. Through the practice of focusing on yourself and staying silent, you will journey to your own promised land, the fulfillment of your desires through the conscious exercise of your creative imagination. Let me share with you one more example that may clarify this principle further. A young man once came to me deeply concerned about his professional future. He had applied for a position that represented his dream job, but he had been told that there were hundreds of applicants, many far more qualified than he. Rather than focusing on these external circumstances, I advised him to focus on himself, on his consciousness. I suggested that he imagine being congratulated on securing the position, feeling the handshake of his new employer, hearing the words of welcome, experiencing the satisfaction and joy of having attained his desire. And I emphasized the importance of silence. He was not to speak to anyone about having used his imagination in this way. He was not to anxiously discuss his chances with friends or family. He was not even to allow his inner conversation to question the reality of what he had imagined. He followed this guidance faithfully, and within 2 weeks he received a call from the company. Despite the supposedly overwhelming competition, he was offered the position. The external action, the interview, the acceptance flowed naturally from his changed state of consciousness. This is the pattern you will observe in your own life as you practice focusing on yourself and staying silent. The outer circumstances, no matter how fixed they may appear, must yield to the power of your consciousness when you know the law and apply it faithfully. Now, as we approach the conclusion of our discussion, let me leave you with this thought. The practice I have described to you is not merely a technique for getting what you want, though it certainly is that. It is a way of aligning yourself with the fundamental reality of the universe, the reality that consciousness is primary, and that the world of the senses is its projection. When you focus on yourself, on your consciousness, and maintain silence until your assumption manifests, you are not only fulfilling your desires, you are fulfilling the very purpose of your existence, which is to experience and express the infinite creative power that is your true nature. You are here to create, to imagine, to assume, to transform not through struggle and effort, but through the wonderful human capacity to conceive and believe. And as you discover and exercise this power, you will find that life becomes not a series of problems to be solved, but a joyous journey of ever-expanding awareness and expression. The world is your consciousness objectified. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. This is the simple yet profound truth that has the power to transform every aspect of your experience. Remember the words of the prophet, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still, maintain silence. No focus on the reality of your consciousness, that I am God. Acknowledge the divine creative power that is your true identity. This is the practice that will lead you from bondage to freedom, from limitation to fulfillment, from frustration to satisfaction. This is the art of focusing on yourself and staying silent. Tonight, as you retire to sleep, I urge you to put this teaching to the test. Select a desire, something that you genuinely wish to experience. As you lie in bed, relaxed and receptive, focus on yourself, on your I am, your awareness of being. Then, from this center of your being, imagine your desire is already fulfilled. Feel the reality of it. Accept it completely. Fall asleep in this state of conscious assumption and maintain silence about it. Do not speak of it prematurely, and do not allow your inner conversation to contradict it. Do this faithfully, persistently, and with full attention to the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Then observe as the outer circumstances of your life begin to rearrange themselves to match your inner conviction. For this is the law. What you focus on in consciousness, with feeling and conviction, must objectify itself in your experience. It cannot fail, for consciousness is the only reality, and all things are possible to him who believes. Focus on yourself, on your consciousness. Stay silent until your assumption has become your experience. This is the way to the fulfillment of all your desires, the way to the life you truly wish to live. For when you know yourself as the creator of your reality, you have discovered the greatest secret of existence, and nothing can ever limit you again. In my Father's house are many mansions, many states of consciousness. By focusing on yourself, you choose the mansion, the state that you will occupy. And by maintaining silence, you allow that choice to become your dwelling place. The choice is yours now and always. Choose wisely and live in the joyous awareness of your creative power. The end of all seeking is to know yourself as the creator of your experience. The purpose of all teaching is to return you to the center of your being, where true power resides. And the reward of all practice is the freedom to be, to do, and to have whatever you can conceive and believe. Focus on yourself and stay silent. This is the key I offer you tonight, the key to the kingdom of your own unlimited potential. Use it faithfully and watch as the world transforms before your eyes. For in truth, there is no power outside of you. There is nothing to overcome, nothing to fight against, nothing to fear. There is only your consciousness, your awareness, your I am, and its infinite capacity to conceive, to believe, and to experience. Know this truth, and it will set you free. Practice this principle, and it will transform your life. Share this understanding through your example, and you will help to awaken others to their own divine creative power. This is my message to you tonight. Focus on yourself and stay silent. In these simple words lies the secret of fulfilled desire, the path to your highest good, and the realization of your true nature as the operant power in your world. Thank you for your attention, and may you go forward from this hour with the confident knowledge that all you desire is already yours in consciousness, awaiting only your recognition and acceptance to become your living experience. You are not merely flesh and blood, bound by the limitations of the physical world. You are, in essence, pure consciousness, an extension of the infinite mind of God. And it is this realization, this awakening to your true nature, that holds the key to unlocking a life beyond your wildest dreams. But how, you may ask, does one come to this profound understanding? How does one tap into this wellspring of infinite possibility? The answer, I assure you, is simpler than you might imagine, yet requires a fundamental shift in your perception of reality. The world you see around you, with all its seeming solidity and permanence, is nothing more than a projection of your own consciousness. It is a reflection of your inner state, your beliefs, and your assumptions about what is possible. And herein lies the great secret. To change your outer world, you must first change your inner world. This, my friends, is the essence of what I call the law of assumption. It is the divine principle that governs all of creation, and it is the key to manifesting your desires and living a life of true purpose and fulfillment. To understand this law, you must first grasp a fundamental truth. Imagination is the very substance of reality. The world you experience is not something separate from you, but a manifestation of your own imaginal acts. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption you hold about yourself and the world around you is constantly being externalized in your physical reality. Now I can sense the skepticism rising in some of you. You may be thinking, but Neville, I have tried positive thinking before. I have visualized my desires, yet they remain unfulfilled. To this I say, mere positive thinking or casual visualization is not enough. What I am speaking of is a much deeper, more profound practice, the art of living from the end. Living from the end means assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It means entering into the state of consciousness where your desire is already a present fact rather than a future possibility. This is not mere daydreaming or fantasy. It is a deliberate, controlled use of your imagination to impress upon your subconscious mind the reality you wish to experience. Let me illustrate this with an example. Suppose you desire financial abundance. The conventional approach would be to work harder, to struggle and strive in the hopes of one day achieving your goal. But this approach is fundamentally flawed, for it keeps you in a state of lack and wanting. It reinforces the very condition you seek to overcome. Instead, I urge you to assume the feeling of wealth and abundance now. Close your eyes and imagine with all the vividness you can muster what it would feel like to have all the money you desire. Feel the sense of security, the freedom, the joy that comes with financial abundance. Make this imaginal act so real that when you open your eyes, the world around you seems pale in comparison. But here's the crucial point. You must persist in this assumption. You must live and move and have your being in this new state of consciousness. For remember, your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. As you maintain this new self-concept, as you live consistently in the consciousness of wealth and abundance, the outer circumstances of your life will invariably reshape themselves to match your inner conviction. This, my dear friends, is the creative power you possess. It is the power to shape your reality through the controlled use of your imagination. And it is this power that you squander when you waste your life living in accordance with the limited beliefs and assumptions imposed upon you by society. But the law of assumption extends far beyond mere material gain. It applies to every aspect of your life, your relationships, your health, your spiritual growth. Whatever you desire to be, do, or have, you must first assume the feeling of already being, doing, or having it. This is the secret to living a life of true purpose and fulfillment. Now, some of you may be wondering, but what about effort? What about action? And to this I say, inspired action will naturally flow from your assumed state of consciousness. When you truly live in the end, when you fully embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally guided to take the steps necessary to bring your desire into physical manifestation. However, this action will not feel like struggle or strain. It will not be the frantic, anxious activity of someone desperately trying to achieve a goal. Instead, it will be the calm, confident action of one who knows that their desire is already a fact, waiting to be expressed in the physical world. This, my friends, is the difference between wasting your life and living with purpose. It is the difference between being at the mercy of external circumstances and being the conscious creator of your reality. It is the difference between existing and truly living. But I must warn you, this path is not for the faint of heart. It requires courage, persistence, and above all, faith. Faith not in some external deity or power, but faith in the God within you, the I am that is your true self. For you see, the great I am is not something separate from you. It is your very essence, your true identity. When you say I am, you are invoking the name of God, for I am is the true name of the Creator. And whatever you attach to this mighty I am, you are decreeing it into existence. This is why it is so crucial to be mindful of your inner conversations, of the thoughts and assumptions you hold about yourself and the world. For every time you say, I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky, you are using green creative power to perpetuate these conditions in your life. Instead, I urge you to make a new covenant with yourself. Begin to use the power of I am consciously and deliberately. Declare I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am love, not as affirmations or positive statements, but as acknowledgments of your true state of being. For remember, your conception of yourself is what you really are, and your conception of yourself is all that you have to give to the world. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, this seems too easy. Surely there must be more to it than this. And to this I say the greatest truths are often the simplest. The power to change your life, to achieve your every desire, to live a life of true purpose and fulfillment, it is your divine birthright as a child of God, as an individualized expression of the infinite creative consciousness. The reason why this truth seems too good to be true is that you have been conditioned to believe in limitation, in struggle, in the necessity of hard work and sacrifice. But I assure you these beliefs are nothing more than illusions, shadows cast by the limited thinking of man. In reality, there are no limitations to what you can be, do, or have, except those you accept in your own thinking. The entire universe is within you, waiting to be expressed. All the wealth, all the love, all the wisdom, all the success you could ever desire is already yours in potential. Your task is simply to align your consciousness with this truth, to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and to live from that state until it becomes your physical reality. But let me be clear, this is not a call to irresponsibility or inaction. On the contrary, it is an invitation to take full responsibility for your life, to become the conscious creator of your reality rather than a passive victim of circumstance. It is a call to action of the highest order, the action of consciously directing your imagination and assuming the feeling of your desires fulfilled. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of others in this process. You may be thinking, but what about my family, my friends, my colleagues? Don't they have a say in my reality? And to this I say, everyone in your world is you pushed out. They are reflections of your own consciousness, playing the parts that you have assigned to them through your beliefs and assumptions. This doesn't mean that others don't exist, or that their free will is negated. Rather, it means that your experience of others, how they treat you, how they respond to you, is a direct reflection of your own self-concept and your assumptions about them. Change your concept of yourself and others, and you will see a corresponding change in your relationships and interactions. This understanding liberates you from the need to change others or to wait for external circumstances to improve. It places the power squarely in your hands, for you realize that to change your world, you need only change yourself. But I must caution you, this power comes with great responsibility. For as you awaken to your true nature as the operant power in your world, you can no longer blame others or external circumstances for your life conditions. You must be willing to take full responsibility for your thoughts, your assumptions, and consequently, your life experiences. This, my dear friends, is what it means to truly live, to not waste the precious gift of life that has been bestowed upon you. It means to awaken from the slumber of limitation and victimhood, and to claim your rightful place as a conscious creator, as an individualized expression of the divine. But how, you may ask, does one begin this journey of awakening? How does one start to apply these principles in daily life? The answer lies in a practice I call revision. Revision is the art of consciously reimagining past events in a way that aligns with your desires. It is based on the understanding that time is merely constructive consciousness, and that the past, present, and future exist simultaneously in the eternal now. When you engage in revision, you are not denying or suppressing what seems to have happened. Rather, you are exercising your divine right as a creator to choose which version of events you wish to make real in your consciousness. For remember, it is not the outer event itself that shapes your life, but your reaction to it, your interpretation of it. Let me give you an example. Suppose you had an unpleasant interaction with a colleague at work. The conventional approach would be to replay the event in your mind, reinforcing the negative emotions and potentially carrying that energy into future interactions. But with revision, you would close your eyes and reimagine the scene as you wish it had unfolded. See your colleague responding with kindness and understanding. Feel the warmth of a positive interaction. Make this new version so vivid and real in your imagination that it supersedes the original memory. As you practice revision consistently, you will begin to see a remarkable transformation in your life. Not only will your present and future experiences begin to align with your revised versions of past, but you will also develop a deep sense of peace and empowerment, knowing that you are no longer at the mercy of past events or external circumstances. But revision is not limited to recent events. You can revise any aspect of your life story, any belief or assumption that no longer serves you. Were you told as a child that you were not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy of love or success? Revise these limiting beliefs. Go back in your imagination and hear words of encouragement and support. Feel the confidence and self-assurance that comes from knowing your infinite worth and potential. This practice of revision is not about denying reality or living in fantasy. It is about understanding the true nature of reality as a projection of consciousness and exercising your divine right to choose which version of events you wish to make real in your world. Now, I can sense that some of you may be feeling overwhelmed by the magnitude of this teaching. You may be thinking, this all sounds wonderful, Neville, but where do I begin? How do I put this into practice in my daily life? To this I say, begin with the end in mind. Choose a desire, something you wish to be, do, or have. It could be anything: a new job, a loving relationship, improved health, financial abundance. Whatever it is, define it clearly in your mind. Now close your eyes and enter into a state of relaxation. Let go of all tension in your body and mind. As you relax, begin to imagine a scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. Make it as vivid and real as possible. Engage all your senses. What would you see, hear, feel, smell, taste if your desire were already fulfilled? Most importantly, feel the emotion of your wish fulfilled. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the sense of accomplishment. For it is this feeling that is the secret to your creative power. Your emotional state is the channel through which your imaginal acts are impressed upon the subconscious mind and brought into physical manifestation. As you emerge from this imaginal act, carry the feeling with you. Let it permeate your entire being. Live from the assumption that what you have imagined is already a fact. This is what it means to live in the end. Now here's the crucial part. You must persist in this assumption. You must make your imaginal act more real to you than the evidence of your physical senses. This is where most people falter. They allow the apparent reality of the outer world to overshadow their imaginal act. They give up at the first sign that things are not changing as quickly as they'd like. But I assure you, if you persist in your assumption, if you remain faithful to your imaginal act, your outer world must conform to your inner conviction. It is law. For remember, your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state of consciousness. This persistence, this unwavering faith in the reality of your imaginal act is what separates those who transform their lives from those who continue to live in frustration and limitation. It is the key to not wasting your life, to living with purpose and power. But let me be clear, this is not about forcing or willing things to happen. It is not about struggle or strain. It is about aligning yourself with the natural creative process of the universe. It is about allowing your desires to unfold naturally and effortlessly as you maintain the consciousness of their fulfillment. Now, some of you may be wondering about the role of action in this process. You may be thinking, but Neville, surely we must do something to bring our desires into manifestation. And to this I say, inspired action will naturally flow from your assumed state. When you truly live in the end, when you fully embody the state of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally guided to take the steps necessary to bring your desire into physical manifestation. But this action will not feel like effort or struggle. It will be the calm, confident action of one who knows that their desire is already a fact. This is the difference between wasting your life in fruitless struggle and living with purpose and power. It is the difference between trying to make things happen through sheer force of will and allowing your good to flow to you naturally as you align yourself with the creative power of the universe. But I must warn you, as you begin to apply these principles, you may face challenges. You may encounter doubt, both from within yourself and from others. You may face seeming setbacks or delays. This is where your faith will be tested. Remember, the outer world may not immediately reflect your new inner state. There may be a time lag between your imaginal act and its physical manifestation. This period, which I call the Sabbath, is a time of rest and assurance. It is a time to remain faithful to your assumption, regardless of appearances. During this time, you may be tempted to doubt, to question whether your imaginal act was real or effective. You may be tempted to return to your old patterns of thinking and behaving. But I urge you, do not waver. Hold fast to your assumption, for it is your faith, your persistent assumption, that will ultimately reshape your reality. This, my dear friends, is the true test of your creative power. It is easy to believe when things are going well, when your outer world aligns with your desires. But it takes real faith, real understanding of your divine nature, to persist in your assumption when everything seems to contradict. But I assure you, if you persist, if you remain faithful to your imaginal act, you will see miracles unfold in your life. You will witness the power of your consciousness to reshape your reality in ways that may seem impossible from your current standpoint. Now let us address another crucial aspect of not wasting your life: the importance of living in the present moment. Many people waste their lives by constantly dwelling on the past or anxiously anticipating the future. They fail to realize that the present moment is the only point of power, the only place where life can be truly lived and experienced. When you understand the law of assumption, you realize that the past has no power over you except the power you give it through your present assumptions. The future is not something to be feared or anxiously awaited, but something you are creating now through your current state of consciousness. Living in the present moment doesn't mean ignoring the past or failing to plan for the future. Rather, it means being fully aware and conscious in the here and now, recognizing that this moment is where all your creative power lies. It means using your imagination constructively to create the future you desire, rather than letting your mind wander aimlessly or dwell on negative past experiences. This present moment awareness is crucial for effective manifestation, for it is only in the present moment that you can assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. It is only in the now that you can impress upon your subconscious mind the reality you wish to experience. Moreover, living in the present moment allows you to fully appreciate and enjoy the life you are creating. Many people waste their lives by constantly chasing after future goals, never pausing to appreciate the journey or the present moment. They fail to realize that life is not a destination to be reached, but a journey to be lived and enjoyed. By living fully in the present, you can experience the joy and fulfillment that comes from being alive while still working towards your desires. Another crucial aspect of not wasting your life is understanding the importance of your self-concept. Your self-concept, or the beliefs and assumptions you hold about yourself, is the foundation upon which your entire life experience is built. Many people waste their lives by accepting limiting beliefs about themselves, never realizing their true potential. They go through life believing they are not good enough, not smart enough, worthy of love, or worthy of us. But I tell you, these beliefs are nothing more than illusions, shadows cast by the limited thinking of man. To truly live, to make the most of the divine gift of life, You must cultivate a self-concept that aligns with your desires and your true divine nature. This means consciously choosing to see yourself as the person you wish to be, regardless of current circumstances or past experiences. It means affirming your divine nature, your infinite potential, your worthiness of all good things. As you consistently maintain this elevated self-concept, you will find your outer world reshaping itself to match your inner conviction. In conclusion, my dear friends, the key to not wasting your life lies in awakening to your true nature as a divine creative being. It lies in understanding and applying the law of assumption, in living from the end, in revivalising your past, in being fully present in the now, and in cultivating a self-concept that aligns with your highest aspirations. It means taking full responsibility for your life experience, recognizing that you are the author of your own story, the creator of your own reality. As you embark on this journey of awakening and conscious creation, remember that you are never alone. The infinite creative power of the universe is always with you, for it is your very essence. Trust in this power, have faith in your divine nature, and persist in your assumptions. For as you do so, you will witness the miraculous unfolding of a life beyond your wildest dreams, a life of purpose, fulfillment, and true joy. This, my friends, is what it means to truly live, to make the most of the precious gift of life. Go forth now and create the life you desire, for all things are possible to him who believes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know that the power to transform your mind and consequently your life lies within you. It has always been there, waiting to be awakened and harnessed. Let us begin by understanding what it means to be mentally strong. It is not merely the absence of weakness or the ability to endure hardship. No, mental strength is far more profound. It is the capacity to shape your reality through the power of your imagination and belief. It is the unwavering faith in the law that states, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is it. You see, my dear friends, the world you experience is nothing more than an outward projection of your inner state. Your thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions create the fabric of your reality. Therefore, to become mentally strong is to gain mastery over your inner world, to cultivate a mind that is aligned with your deepest desires and highest aspirations. Now you might be wondering, how do I achieve this mental strength? The answer, I assure you, is simpler than you might think. Yet it requires dedication and practice. The first step is to recognize the immense power of your imagination. Your imagination is not some frivolous faculty meant for idle daydreaming. It is the very workshop where you forge your destiny. Neville Goddard once said, man's imagination is God's redemptive power in man. This statement encapsulates a profound truth that your imagination is the key to transforming your life. When you learn to use your imagination deliberately and consistently, you tap into a power that can move mountains, part seas, and reshape your entire existence. But how does one use imagination effectively? The secret lies in what I call living in the end. This means that you must imagine and feel the reality of your desire as if it were already accomplished. You must step into the state of the wish fulfilled, embodying the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs of the person who has already achieved what you desire. Let me give you an example. Suppose you wish to become more confident and assertive. Instead of focusing on your current state of timidity or self-doubt, you would imagine yourself as the confident and assertive person you wish to be. You would feel the satisfaction, the peace, and the certainty that comes with being that person. You would walk, talk, and carry yourself as if you were already the embodiment of confidence and assertiveness. This practice of living in the end is not mere positive thinking or affirmation. It is a profound psychological and spiritual exercise that aligns your entire being with your desired state. As you persist in this practice, you will find that your outer world begins to conform to your inner vision. This is the law of assumption at work. What you assume to be true becomes true in your experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, how can I imagine something that seems so far from my current reality? This is where mental strength truly comes into play. It requires discipline and persistence to hold on to your vision in the face of contrary evidence. It demands that you trust in the unseen reality of your imagination more than the apparent facts of your physical senses. Remember, my friends, that what you see in the world around you is nothing more than the outpicturing of past thoughts and beliefs. It is the harvest of seeds planted in the past. But at this very moment, you have the power to plant new seeds, to imagine a new reality to being. This is the essence of mental strength. The ability to hold steadfast to your vision, regardless of present circumstances. Let us delve deeper into this concept. The world you see is Maya, illusion. It is a shadow play, a reflection of your consciousness. When you truly grasp this truth, you will understand that to change your world, you need only change your consciousness. This is where the practice of revision becomes invaluable. Revision is the art of reimagining past events in a way that aligns with your desires. If you have experienced failure or disappointment, instead of dwelling on these experiences and reinforcing them in your consciousness, you can revise them. Imagine how you would have preferred the situation to unfold. Feel the joy and satisfaction of this revised scenario as if it had actually happened. This practice of revision is not about denying reality or living in fantasy. It is about understanding the fluid nature of time and memory and using this understanding to your advantage. By revising the past in your imagination, you alter the trajectory of your future. You plant new seeds in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind, seeds that will inevitably sprout and bear fruit in your experience. As you engage in these practices, living in the end and revision, you will begin to notice a shift in your mental state. You will find yourself becoming more resilient, more optimistic, more certain of your power to shape your reality. This is mental strength in action. It is the ability to maintain a positive and purposeful state of mind, regardless of external circumstances. But let me be clear, my dear friends. Mental strength is not about forcing things to happen through sheer willpower. It is not about struggling against the current of life. Rather, it is about aligning yourself with the natural flow of creation. It is about understanding and applying the laws that govern the universe. One of these fundamental laws is the law of assumption. This law states that whatever you assume to be true will be manifested in your reality. Your assumptions, whether conscious or unconscious, shape your world. Therefore, to become mentally strong, you must become aware of your assumptions and learn to consciously choose those that serve your highest good. For instance, if you assume that life is a struggle and that success is hard to come by, you will experience a reality that confirms these assumptions. On the other hand, if you assume that life is abundant and that success comes easily to you, your experience will reflect these beliefs. The key is to become aware of your assumptions and to deliberately choose those that align with your desires. This process of becoming aware of it, changing your assumptions, requires mental discipline. It demands that you become the watchman at the gate of your mind, carefully monitoring the thoughts and beliefs you allow to take root in your consciousness. This vigilance is a hallmark of mental strength. Now, you might be wondering, how do I change deeply ingrained assumptions and beliefs? The answer lies in the practice of what I call the law of reversibility. This law states that while feelings follow thoughts, thoughts also follow feelings. In other words, by deliberately inducing the feeling state associated with your desire, you can evoke thoughts and assumptions that align with that state. Let me explain this further. Suppose you want to cultivate an assumption of abundance. Instead of trying to force yourself to think abundant thoughts, you would induce the feeling of abundance. You would imagine what it feels like to be abundantly supplied in all areas of your life. As you persist in this feeling, you will find that thoughts of lack and scarcity naturally fall away, replaced by thoughts and assumptions of abundance. This practice of inducing feeling states is a powerful tool for mental strength. It allows you to bypass the resistance of your rational mind and directly influence your subconscious, where your deepest beliefs and assumptions reside. As you master this technique, you will find yourself becoming more adept at shaping your mental state at will. But remember, my friends, mental strength is not about suppressing or denying negative emotions. It is about understanding the transient nature of all emotional states and learning to navigate them skillfully. When challenging emotions arise, acknowledge them, but do not identify with them. See them as passing clouds in the vast sky of your consciousness. This ability to observe your emotions without being consumed by them is a crucial aspect of mental strength. It allows you to maintain your chosen state of consciousness even in the face of adversity. It enables you to respond to life's challenges from a place of clarity and purpose rather than reacting from a place of fear or anger. As you cultivate this observational stance, you will begin to notice the gap between stimulus and response. In this gap lies your power to choose your reaction. This is where true freedom resides. As you become more aware of this gap, you will find yourself becoming less reactive and more responsive to life's events. Now, let us discuss another vital aspect of mental strength, the power of your self-talk. The conversations you have with yourself shape your reality in profound ways. Therefore, to become mentally strong, you must become acutely aware of your inner dialogue and learn to direct it consciously. Many people unconsciously engage in negative self-talk, constantly criticizing themselves and reinforcing limiting beliefs. This negative self-talk is like a poison that corrupts your mental and emotional state. To counteract this, you must learn to speak to yourself with kindness and encouragement. But it's not enough to simply replace negative self-talk with positive affirmations. You must go deeper. You must speak to yourself from the perspective of your ideal self, the version of you that has already achieved what you desire. This is not about deceiving yourself, but about aligning your inner dialogue with your highest vision for yourself. For instance, instead of saying, "I hope I can become more confident," you would say, "I am confident and self-assured in all situations." Instead of saying, "I'll try to be more successful," you would say, "I am successful in all my endeavors." This shift in language might seem subtle, but its effects are profound. It aligns your conscious mind with your subconscious, creating a powerful synergy that propels you towards your goals. Remember, my dear friends, the words you speak to yourself are like seeds planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Choose these words carefully, for they will grow and bear fruit in your experience. This conscious use of language is a hallmark of mental strength. Now let us delve into another crucial aspect of mental strength, the power of focus. Your ability to direct and sustain your attention is a key determinant of your mental state and, consequently, your life experience. In a world filled with distractions, the capacity to focus your mind is more valuable than ever. But what should you focus on? The answer is simple yet profound. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want. This might seem obvious, but many people spend their mental energy dwelling on their problems, fears, and limitations. They focus on what's wrong in their lives rather than on what they wish to create. Remember, my friends, energy flows where attention goes. Whatever you consistently focus on will expand in your experience. Therefore, to become mentally strong, you must train your mind to dwell on your desired outcomes, on the life you wish to create, on the person you aspire to be. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or challenges when they arise. It means approaching them from a solution-oriented mindset. Instead of fixating on the problem, focus your attention on finding a solution. Ask yourself empowering questions like, how can I turn this situation to my advantage? Or what opportunity for growth does this challenge present? As you cultivate this habit of focused attention, you will find your mental strength growing. You will become less reactive to external circumstances and more proactive in shaping your reality. You will develop a sense of inner calm and certainty that allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and poise. Now, let us discuss another vital aspect of mental strength, the power of persistence. The ability to persist in your chosen course of action despite obstacles and setbacks is a hallmark of a strong mind. It is easy to maintain a positive mental state when things are going well. The true test of mental strength comes when you face adversity. Persistence doesn't mean stubbornly pushing against immovable obstacles. It means maintaining your faith in your vision, even when the external evidence seems to contradict it. It means holding fast to your assumption of success, even when temporary failures occur. It means continuing to live in the end, to feel the reality of your desire, even when your current circumstances seem far removed from your goal. Remember, my dear friends, that manifestation is not always instantaneous. There's often a time lag between the conception of a desire in your imagination and its appearance in your physical reality. This time lag is a test of your faith and persistence. Those who can maintain their chosen state of consciousness, regardless of external circumstances, are the ones who ultimately succeed in bringing their desires into manifestation. Think of it this way. When you plant a seed in the ground, you don't dig it up every day to check its progress. You trust in the natural process of growth. You continue to water and nurture the soil, knowing that in due time the seed will sprout and grow into a plant. The same principle applies to the seeds of your desires, planted in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind. Your job is to continue nurturing these seeds through your imagination and feeling. Trust in the law, knowing that what you have planted must inevitably come to fruition. This unwavering faith, this persistent holding to your vision, is a powerful demonstration of mental strength. Now, let us explore another crucial aspect of mental strength: the power of detachment. This might seem paradoxical at first. How can detachment contribute to mental strength? Isn't it important to be passionate and committed to our goals? The truth is, detachment is not about lack of desire or commitment. It's about releasing the anxiety and desperation that often accompany intense wanting. When you are overly attached to a specific outcome, you create resistance. You become tense and fearful, constantly worrying about whether or not your desire will manifest. True mental strength comes from a place of calm certainty. It's the ability to desire something deeply, to work towards it consistently, while simultaneously trusting in the perfect unfolding of events. It's knowing that whether or not a particular desire manifests, you are whole and complete as you are. This state of detachment allows you to remain centered and balanced, regardless of external circumstances. It enables you to enjoy the journey, rather than fixating solely on the destination. It frees you from the emotional roller coaster of elation and despair that comes with attachment to outcomes. To cultivate this detachment, practice surrendering your desires to your higher self, to the divine within you. After you have done your part, living in the end, feeling the reality of your desire, trust that the infinite intelligence of the universe will bring about the best possible outcome, in the best possible way, at the best possible time. This surrender is not passive resignation. It is active trust. It is the recognition that while you have the power to shape your reality through your imagination and assumption, the exact manner and timing of manifestation is not always under your conscious control. This balance of active creation and surrender is a hallmark of true mental strength. Now, my dear friends, let us discuss another vital aspect of mental strength: the power of self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to control your thoughts, emotions, and actions in service of your higher goals. It is the bridge between your intentions and your results. Many people mistakenly believe that self-discipline is about forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. But true self-discipline comes from a deep alignment with your highest vision for yourself. When you are clear about what you truly want, when you can feel the reality of your desire, self-discipline becomes natural and effortless. For instance, if you truly embody the state of being a successful and productive person, you will naturally engage in behaviors that support this state. You won't need to force yourself to work hard or to manage your time effectively. These behaviors will flow naturally from your assumed state of being. This is why the practice of living in the end is so powerful. By consistently assuming the state of your wish fulfilled, you naturally align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with that state. This alignment is the essence of self-discipline. However, this doesn't mean that you won't face challenges or moments of weakness. Mental strength is not about never experiencing doubt or fear. It's about how you respond to these experiences when they arise. It's about your ability to return to your chosen state of consciousness, even after temporary lapses. This is where the practice of revision becomes invaluable. If you find yourself slipping into old patterns of thought or behavior, don't berate yourself. Instead, revise the experience of your imagination. See yourself responding in a way that aligns with your highest vision for yourself. Feel the satisfaction and pride of having demonstrated self-discipline and mental strength. As you persist in this practice, you will find your capacity for self-discipline growing. You will become more consistent in your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This consistency is a powerful manifestation of mental strength. Now let us explore another crucial aspect of mental strength: the power of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely a polite social convention. It is a powerful state of consciousness that can transform your entire life experience. When you cultivate an attitude of gratitude, you align yourself with the abundance of the universe. You shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have. This shift in focus changes your entire vibration, making you a magnet for more positive experiences. But gratitude is not just about being thankful for the good things in your life. True mental strength comes from the ability to find something to be grateful for in every situation, even those that appear challenging or unpleasant on the surface. Remember, my friends, every experience, every circumstance contains within it the seed of an equivalent greater benefit. When you can maintain an attitude of gratitude, even in the face of apparent adversity, you demonstrate true mental strength. Moreover, gratitude is a powerful antidote to fear and anxiety. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you cannot simultaneously focus on what you fear. This is why the practice of gratitude is so effective in building mental resilience. I encourage you to make gratitude a daily practice. Each day, take time to reflect on the things you're grateful for. Feel the emotion of gratitude deeply. Let it permeate your entire being. As you do this consistently, you will find your mental state becoming more positive and resilient. Now, let us discuss another vital aspect of mental strength: the power of forgiveness. Many people carry the weight of past hurts and resentments, not realizing how much these negative emotions drain their mental and emotional energy.